Endless duels, returning to Yamatai before the Castle of the Sun was built. Himiko and Takayashi Hime faced relentless dangers, and Himiko made her choice. Bygone days. The war in Yamatai has raged for years, leaving the land scarred and breathing with an eerie fatality. Upon the scorched earth, rusted blades lie askew, while crimson vines sprout from blood-soaked soil, coiling around shattered armor. The once majestic city walls now stand in ruins. The banners that once fluttered atop the ramparts have long been torn, replaced by the new daimyo's crest after his conquest. Bare flagpoles point toward the floating Colosseum in the sky, its crimson glow swallowing everything beneath. The light resembles the spilled heartblood of humanity's heroes, their chests laid bare. People flee their homes, abandoning cities and plains for the refuge of the mountains. Deep in Yamatai's mountains, a small village shelters the displaced, the elderly, the weak, women and children. The elders whisper of two newcomers seeing beyond the ridge. "Old man, have you seen those two children?" A pitiful. They say they got separated from their family. In these troubled times, who knows if they'll ever reunite? When I spotted them days ago, it chilled my bones. The elder one, likely the sister, was drenched in blood, wounds covering her body. Several nights prior, a watchman roused the village, reporting shadows moving at the mountain's base. They hastily concealed signs of habitation, disguising the settlement as abandoned before retreating to their shelter. Hidden among the trees, the people watched as figures enter the deep mountains. One was a warrior wearing a full-face mask, the other a young girl dressed in shrine maiden attire. The warrior's armor was torn beyond recognition by arrows and blades. Beneath each gash were deep gaping wounds, revealing glimpses of bone. Blood had dyed her white armor half crimson. An arrow was deeply embedded in her arm. To prevent further bleeding, she had snapped the shaft, leaving half the arrowhead inside. Yet her footsteps remained steady, and the hand gripping her sword didn't tremble in the slightest. Her other arm shielded the shrine maiden who clung to her in panic. The warrior entered the village, examined the cold ashes, then turned her gaze toward the woods. The hidden villagers grew visibly agitated, but soon the warrior seemed to whisper something to the maiden, then changed direction toward the opposite side of the mountain. The young shrine maiden tried to grasp the warrior's wounds with her own robe. Supporting each other, they disappeared into the opposite side of the mountains. They temporarily settled on the other side of the mountain. At first I thought they were more rogue soldiers. Never expected them to be just two young girls. Probably victims of war forced to hide here. We gathered some wild fruits. Maybe we should leave them quietly at the girls' doorstep. They only have each other. Pitiful sight. Remember to lock the doors later. Rumor says the daimyo is mobilizing troops for conquering battles, and bandits are multiplying nearby. Hope things settle down soon. Takayashi dreamed again of her first arrival in Yamatai. Holding the young Himiko tightly, she passed through the rift in time torn by the divine fairy bird. In that instant, time stretched before her like countless threads of yarn. She saw countless shards of the past, as if reaching out to touch those bygone moments. She glimpsed the future where flickering shadows beckoned. She tried to grasp them but couldn't truly see. When the illusory visions vanished, she landed in an ancient lands of Yamatai. It was a desolate wasteland, a ruin ravaged by war. Lifting her head, she saw a bizarre sight in the sky, utterly unlike the future castle of the sun. Where the sun should be fused with it was an enormous coliseum. That must be the ancient Yamatai Coliseum, where Okinonoshi now resided, as the Shia Dolmen had mentioned. The ancient Yamatai Coliseum resembled a massive sundial formed by the sun and moon, its nome slowly rotating with time. Its shadow loomed over all of Yamatai. With every flicker, the sounds of battle rained from the sky, and violence sought to taint human souls. Calm your mind. A surge of power emanated from her chest. The moonstone at her heart glowed faintly, shielding her. Yet, as the Colosseum flickered in the sky, the power within Takayashi Hime was deeply suppressed. Was it due to time's rejection or the influence of the celestial arena above?
Oh, okay.
Himiko, who had been unconscious, was about to awaken. Takayashi Hime recalled Sama's warning, altering the past might trigger an unknown collapse. Soon, Himiko of the past would open her eyes as she saw her own expression. Everything between Himiko and Yohime in the future would inevitably change. I must ensure that Himiko-sama cannot recognize my appearance in the future. Finally, Himiko awoke from her bound and unconscious state. She opened her eyes, the brilliance of the sun dazzling her vision. Before her stood a warrior clad in armor. The pure white armor gleamed with golden trimmings, radiant as the sun. She gripped a long sword tightly, her white hair cascading over her shoulder guards. A silver mask covered half her face, silhouetted against the light, yet more captivating than the sun and moon. This was the presence that felt familiar and comforting in her unconsciousness, yet she did not know this stranger.
Just now, you saved me. You are...
Takayashi Hime gazed at the young Himiko-sama before her, and in that moment she recalled the future sun. In the past, no, in the future castle of the sun. Once Yohime grew up, she no longer nestled in the queen's lap like a child, confiding her grievances to Himiko-sama. She feared becoming too dependent on the queen, unable to mature into a reliable general. Now, she could not rely on her instead. She had to become someone the queen could rely on. She was the wraith, the one who abandoned her name, the guardian of the capital of the sun. And so, she evaded the young Himiko's question. Where they stood was a battlefield scarred by war. The powerful daimyo of the rival Yamatai were waging conquest here. Takayashi Hime surveyed the battlefield, listening to the distant clamor of battle. Now, she should seize the fleeting gap in time before it closed completely, using the moonstone's power to return to the future. When the time rift completely closes, the power suppressed by the dueling arena above the sky may prevent her from ever returning to the future. By then, she would truly become a wandering spirit with no place to return.
Are you leaving now?
Himiko followed her gaze to the rift in the sky. She had long suspected that was where warriors returned. It was that very rift that had taken her from the shrine guardians to a mysterious land, only to be protected by this masked warrior and brought here. Now alone, she possessed the sacred artifact, Chrono Jade, inherited from her brother, Tada no Masakado, yet could only wield a fraction of its power, still needing others' protection. Takayashi Ime noticed hesitation and conflict flicker across the young shrine maiden's face.
You've already brought me back to Yamatai, a kindness I shall never forget. Please return to trust that I have strength enough to protect myself. Go back. Surely someone awaits you on the other side.
Himiko lowered her head, knowing her heart still yearned for something. The rift power above gradually faded. When it vanished from Himiko's senses, she knew the passage to nowhere must have closed. She looked up to find a shadow looming over her, the masked warrior standing before her. The warrior remained silent, waiting for Himiko to meet her gaze.
You aren't going back? Then, could you tell me your name?
Names are shackles of fate, and I am but a specter drifting through space-time. Picking up her long sword, she motioned for Himiko to follow. You need not know my name. May you one day bring Yamatai light to pierce its endless night. They set out to find the nearest stronghold. Yet soon, the scent of war approached where they stood. Rogue soldiers plundered everywhere, while warlords marshaled heavy troops, day after day, fighting over territories they might lose by tomorrow. The rivers flowed with murky currents of blood and ash, their surfaces littered with unrotted severed limbs. Wraiths entangled in them condensed into fireflies under the crimson twilight, whispering around the two as they sought a land of peace. How many years has this war lasted?
It began the day I was born.
All these years, has no one been able to end this war? Himiko crouched by the river, fearlessly scooping up the grudge-laden river water. It touched upon a question that had haunted her for years. For now, she chose to withhold it from this unfamiliar warrior. So she selected a story instead.
Yes. Once, a warlord with formidable power came within a step of unifying Yamatai.
This warlord, brimming with ambition, went to the shrine to worship the gods. He sought to boast of his eminent achievements and gain divine approval to ascend as king. He led his soldiers to force open the shrine's gates, even demanding whether it housed armor once worn by General Sun Hunter. Himiko witnessed now the fate of those who overreach. On the second day, as the dueling grounds above the sky completed another 6-day karma cycle, this time, seeds of war rained down in multitudes from the sunset. By the third day, Himiko saw the warlord's head hung above the city he once ruled. Yamatai fractured once more. The high priest who had taught Himiko since childhood seemed to have foreseen this outcome. Himiko, the dueling grounds above the sky, nurtured the seeds of war. Every 6 days, they scatter upon the world alongside the blood of the gods. As long as the seeds of war persist, the conflicts in Yamatai will never cease. Anyone who attempts to stop them is overestimating their own strength.
Later, many others tried as well. But as long as the seeds of war remain, nothing will ever end.
Night gradually fell, with blood-red clouds and moonlight weaving into a crimson-purple sky. In the distance, faint silhouettes flickered like dancing specters. Lady Himiko, where do you intend to lead Yamatai?
If I told you that I incited this war, that I draw power from conquest and suffering, warrior, what choice would you make then?
I truly do not know how to answer your question. Noticing the warrior's naive sincerity, Emiko did not press further. She already sensed that this person before her might share a soul akin to her own. That very thought tormented her endlessly. Her heart was torn in two, plunging her into prolonged confusion. She decided to observe this warrior a while longer. Perhaps she could lead her to the answer she sought. They passed through a battlefield. Takashi may witness how the seeds of war, sown in the earth and in men's hearts, burst into flames. Shattered sword hilts lodged in the eye sockets of the dead, corpses riddled with arrows, all flickering with ghostly fire. The hatred burning in the eyes of every soldier on the battlefield materialized into crimson flares, twisting with their dying screams. Something seemed to erupt from the ground, and then the entire battlefield was engulfed in a hazy curtain of pale blue flames, swallowing all within. With every slash that falls, the flames surge higher by another inch.
That is the flame ignited after the seeds of war broke free from their shells.
She raised the chrono jade in her hand, recalling her teacher's words. The moonstone embedded in the chrono jade is merely an empty shell of power. The true moonstone is born in the contradictions of time, wielding the power to sever the chrono jade. Time, formless and intangible since its inception, may only grant the moonstone to one truly destined to be born, allowing the twin stones to resonate.
But without the moonstone, how can I awaken the divine artifact's power?
Steer the tides of war. When the flames of conquest born in Yamatai rise high enough to eclipse the moon, the sunstone will naturally restore the chrono jade's power. Then you will unlock the dueling arena above the skies and claim the power of conquest within. A wisp of pale blue flame attempted to seep into the chrono jade. It would bring her heart another wave of guilt and pain. But now, the flame was gently pushed aside by the blade. My lord, it is time for us to depart.
Warrior, do you think the flames of war here will never cease?
I believe they will.
Then, who would bring an end to the conquest here?
A mighty and radiant sovereign will put an end to it all.
But what if the flames of war truly cannot be quelled? Wouldn't it be easier for some to choose a simpler path? Warrior, are you angry? Wait for me.
The warrior halted their steps. It will be pacified. Castle of the Sods shall usher in days of prosperity and peace. They never found a tranquil place to rest. Everywhere was engulfed in war, and they attempted to stop the conflicts. Yet, after each intervention, the seeds of war would scatter anew with doubled vengeance. Himiko bore the title of Divine Maiden in Yamatai, and countless warlords coveted her power. Some sought to steal the sacred artifact, while others aimed to use the Divine Maiden to legitimize their ambitions. They soon faced endless pursuit. In this battle, she had to confront countless pursuers. By the warlord's decree, seize the sacred artifact, dead or alive. The warring factions halted their fight, turning their blades toward the white-armored warrior on horseback and the shrine maiden she protected. Relentless pursuers surged forth, as she fought from dawn till dusk. Her steed neared exhaustion, sustained only by her own magic to keep its last strength. Hooves trampled banners, her blade stained with the blood of countless foes. Though weary beyond measure, she dared not show fatigue, knowing her young sovereign entrusted their life to her hands. Himiko strained to wield the chrono jade to protect Takayashi Hime, but her control over its power was limited now. Moreover, she had long refrained from absorbing the flames of war with the chrono jade. From afar, ranks of archers loosed a rain of arrows upon them.
Warrior, your shoulder is hit.
Without hesitation, Takayashi snapped the arrow shaft from her shoulder, leaving only the arrowhead. Blood soaked into the once pristine white robes, scattering with the wind onto Himiko's face beyond Takayashi Hime.
Why? Why would you go this far for me?
My bones shall become your shield, my blood shall forge your blade. This oath shall last until the end of time. As her power neared exhaustion, Takayashi Hime suddenly felt the lunar energy within her gradually awakening, recovering. It was a power suppressed by the dueling arena in the sky after arriving in Yamatai, yet now a wisp of it escaped that restraint. The scorching flames of the moon finally reignited upon her blade once more. What's this? To her astonishment, she sensed the familiar power, the solar radiance of Queen Himiko, emanating from Himiko, who held her close from behind. The chrono jade pendant around Himiko's neck now spun leisurely, both halves representing the sun and the moon.
I don't want to lose anything.
She felt the child bury their face into her back, as if weeping, or perhaps seething with rage. Lady Himiko, hold me tighter. Seizing this moment, the lunar power resonated with the sun, its silhouettes blurred strangely on the battlefield. The pursuers gaped as the two seemed to fade into the cracks of time, reappearing farther away with each passing instant. Then came their own fate, like countless years before, their bodies visibly crumbled and withered away. When the horse staggered and collapsed deep in the distant mountains, Takayashi Hime propped herself up with her moonlit blade. They ventured deeper into the forest. The dream shattered at the sound of knocking. Lacking herbs, the wound on her arm was only hastily bandaged and had yet to heal. Himiko opened the door to find precious wild berries left outside.
Lord G2, it seems these fruits were sent by the villagers from the mountain. Lord G2, have some.
Have you eaten?
I gathered some food from the forest and caught some game. Stay still. Though I reside in the shrine, I was never caught. Yet Lord G2 always pities me, thinking I shouldn't do such tasks. You always wear a mask. Why won't you let me know who you are?
Forgive me. To protect what matters most, I must make this choice. A strange noise echoed from beyond the mountain. Have the pursuers found us? Back off.
この血は剣となることを誓う。時の果てまで。
As their fingertips touched, Takashime bestowed her lunar power upon Himiko. Once separated from Takashime, the lunar energy swiftly sought its destination, merging into the azure half of the gemstone on Himiko's chest. The once dim moonstone now shone brilliantly alongside the sunstone. Blood seeped from unhealed wounds. Himiko had to bandage them again, pain unimaginable and unbearable for months. Yet behind the mask, Takashime showed no hesitation.
Don't you feel any pain?
No, I've long grown accustomed and numb to physical pain. The deepest agony I've already endured, so please, don't fret over these minor wounds. You are the shrine maiden of the Yamatai Shrine, correct? Since we cannot find a safe place to rest, perhaps I should escort you back to the shrine directly.
No, warrior. I cannot return yet. If I go back, I will never truly see the land of Yamatai as it is. I will be placed upon a high pedestal, and the seeds of war will continue to hatch endless flames of conflict upon this land. My teacher is the chief priest of the shrine.
The Yamatai Shrine enshrines the gods and the tattered armor of the former General Sun Hunter. The aged chief priest governs the shrine that delivers prophecies to the people of Yamatai. The shrine maiden bestowed by the heavens will save Yamatai from its suffering. Gradually, rumors spread that the shrine's Miko, Lady Himiko, is the shrine maiden foretold in the prophecy. The Mikos whispered among themselves, gazing sorrowfully at the punished girl in the courtyard.
Even if Lady Himiko failed to wield the sacred artifact, it was not her fault. The chief priest is far too harsh on Lady Himiko.
The revered chief priest of the shrine raised Himiko from childhood. Under his guidance, the legend of Himiko as a heaven-sent shrine maiden gradually spread. Lady Himiko, why can you not yet wield the Chrono Jade freely? His disappointment was palpable. Himiko lowered her head, equally disappointed in herself. It is said that when she first appeared outside the shrine, she was already wearing the Chrono Jade gem. She once saw the chief priest gazing at the Chrono Jade gem, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Her teacher set the most rigorous standards for her. Sometime, she would be punished to practice using the Chrono Jade all night in the courtyard without rest. The chief priest would occasionally take her away from the shrine to reminisce about the glory of the Tiger clan. Hungry children whimpered weakly, and displaced people hunched their backs as they left their homeland. The chief priest took her to a destroyed village. He told Himiko about the path of the General Sun Hunter. Yamatai was once shrouded in the terror of a deity. Your brother defeated that false god and saved the slaves of Yamatai. Later, your brother was beheaded by the three great clans in distant Hankyo, and the ancient dueling grounds in the sky were forever closed. From then on, a curse was etched into all of Yamatai, plunging it into endless conflict. Stir the tides of war. When the flames of conquest born in Yamatai rise high enough to eclipse the moon, the Sunstone will gradually restore the Chrono Jade's power. Then, you will unlock the dueling arena above the skies and claim the power of conquest within.
Yet, The Titus clan's motto was to end the war with martial prowess.
Of course, it's never too late for you to stop the fighting once you gain the greatest power. Why bother with these insignificant specks of dust beneath your feet before achieving greatness? Himiko looked around at that moment. They were staying in a ruined house. Amid the broken walls and debris, traces of the past inhabitants' lives remained. Himiko's hand brushed against an abandoned cradle. She saw that a crying child had once lived here, loved by their parents. On the raided dressing table, there were a few broken jars. She saw that a beauty-loving woman had once carefully adorned herself here after each day's hard labor. In the courtyard enclosed by collapsed earthen walls, wooden handles of farming tools were discarded in the corner, their iron parts already taken, perhaps forged into someone's blade. Once, a diligent foreman lived here, setting out at dawn each day to till the land, hopeful for a bountiful harvest.
As I said before, I will make the choice I truly desire and do what I must. I will not return to the shrine. Now, will you still follow me? A shrine maiden who has lost the protection of her shrine? A disgrace who may never avenge her family?
Takyashine picked up her weapon. Of course, my lady. Our tracks may have already been discovered. We should leave this place soon.
Please wait. Let me go and warn the nearby villages.
Upon hearing rumors that soldiers from beyond the mountains might have come near, the elderly, women, and children of the village once again began their journey deeper into the wilderness.
I'm sorry. Perhaps it was because of me that the pursuers found us.
Don't apologize, child. It's not your fault. Our village has already relocated many times before. This year, it was time to move again. Our displacement is not your doing. If peace ever comes, I'll make you the most delicious sweets. The villagers were long accustomed to migration. They were the most ordinary people of Yamatai. For over a decade, there has never been a moment of peace. Himiko watched their figures until the villagers completely disappeared from sight. Takyashine reached out, paused for a moment, then withdrew her hand.
Warrior, were you just about to pat my head?
Lady Himiko, please give me your hand. Himiko extended her hand. Takyashine reached out and handed over a wooden sword she had crafted. Your hands alone cannot yet bear the weight of that radiant sun. I will also teach you everything I know, martial arts, tactics, strength, all of it. True to her word, the warrior taught her everything she knew. Lady Himiko, you've been sneaking glances at me over 10 times now. What's so interesting about my face?
Actually, I wanted to ask, how do you see ahead when your mask covers your eyes?
I can see through it using spiritual energy.
Oh, take this.
She raised her wooden sword and swung it down while Takyashine was off guard. Before she knew it, her opponent's wooden sword was already blocking her path. The spar went back and forth until Himiko finally ran out of strength and had to lower her sword.
You didn't even move. You even had a hand free. How long would it take for me to reach that level?
You will surpass me in the future.
When I become stronger than you, I'll stand still like Terra and let you attack me.
The warrior seemed to recall something and smiled. Himiko cheerfully sheathed the wooden sword in her hand.
Did you just laugh? What's so funny? If only you weren't wearing that mask, warrior. What do your eyes look like?
I was thinking, perhaps someday, when that time comes, you'll stand still like terror and knock my sword away in an instant.
Warrior, I've made up my mind. After I master everything you've taught me, my destination will be
What?
the ancient Yamatai dueling grounds, the land of war from ages past.
Here begins the path to the land of war.
About time, good gracious. Available in 1 day and 21 hours. Ugh. Oh my goodness, look how far we got to go, y'all. Like, ugh. These stories long. Like, my goodness, man.